Good morning. So, just a real quick one this morning. I was watching the news this morning, Channel 2, which is here in Houston, so that's KPRC. This is July 3rd, so tomorrow, happy Independence Day. They were talking about healthy eating and children, and they gave a few points to help you have your kids have a good relationship with food. I don't think they did a great job with it, so I'm just going to kind of unpack it here and see if I can't make it a little bit more useful. What they started with was don't make kids clear their plate, which I understand, but that's where they left it, and I don't think it's that simple. I think there are definitely times where kids don't want to finish their food because they take 3 or 4 bites, they want to go play with their friends. Or they want to eat the side dish that they like and leave all the healthy stuff there and go back and play video games. Or they mound up their plate with tons of food and then they take a few bites of it and want to throw the rest away. I think there are lessons there. I think, telling a child, look, if that's how much you took, you need to try to eat that so that we don't waste it. And then they learn next time to get an appropriate portion size and they kind of calibrate their eyes to what their stomach will hold. I think teaching them that, this is dinner time or lunchtime and we are going to eat our food. And then when we're done with our food and we're full, then we can go play with our friends or get back to video games or TV or reading a book or whatever it is they want to do that's more fun than eating. So it's not a matter of you have to eat everything on your plate every time, but I think there are definitely times where those lessons are warranted and can be done, I hate to say safely, but can be done in a way that doesn't, lead your child into eating disorders later on in life. I think eating disorders are much more complicated than the fact that you made your child clear their plate, as a kid. All right, another one they said was don't label food good and bad. Don't say these are good foods and these are bad foods. Again, I kind of disagree with that. There are bad foods. They wanted parents to use terms like these are everyday foods and these are sometimes foods. Kids aren't dumb. They know that that means good and bad. And I think it's important for parents to explain to kids, this is a donut. It's a bad food. There's nothing redeeming in this. It's not healthy in any way. It doesn't add to you in any way. But we may choose to eat them from time to time because they taste good. And there's a payoff for that, right? We say, look, it tastes good enough that I want to eat it, but I know that here's the price I'm paying for it. And so I can't make that choice all the time. But the kids need to learn to evaluate good foods and bad foods. We would never hesitate to tell a daughter that she had a bad boyfriend. There was nothing redeeming about him. He didn't add anything to her. He just took away from her. But somehow with food, we can't make that distinction. I disagree with that. I think it's very important to teach kids that there are foods that add nutrients and life and vibrancy and vitality to us. And then there are foods that just really take that away. And not to say that these are never foods, to use their terminology, but they're certainly foods that you don't need to try to convince yourself, are healthy. When you see really fit, happy people on TV eating these foods, it's not the foods that made them fit and happy, and the kids need to understand that. They said, don't talk about other people's bodies. Certainly understandable at this point. You don't want to shame other people's bodies. You don't want to bully. You don't want to tease. You don't want to make light of. You want to be respectful. But pointing out that there are people whose bodies don't allow them to walk from the car in the parking lot to the door of the grocery store without needing to take a break because they carry so much body fat or they're so out of shape or they have gotten themselves into a lifestyle disease like type 2 diabetes and things. I don't think that it's really inappropriate to point out to kids that that may have happened for lots of different reasons. They may have had organs removed because of cancer. Medications may have done that to them. But you can also end up that way by living on foods like these, right? And give that explanation to your child. So your child knows that when you talk about foods being bad foods, They raise your blood sugar. They cause insulin responses. That forces you to store everything. If you're in storage mode all the time, you just get bigger and bigger. And you could end up with a body like that. There are consequences to these decisions. Again, pointing out on the news that this person's in jail because they stole from that person. We don't steal because you end up in jail. Food is not all that different. There are things you don't eat because they lead to lifestyle diseases. They lead to disorders that you don't want. So while you shouldn't disrespect other people, I think you can use other people as an example. I think it's very natural. I think kids do it naturally on their own. That person's tall, that person's short. That person's big, that person's small. That person's strong, that person's weak. Use those as teaching moments. And then lastly, they say don't let your kids, or don't make your kids set the table. I had to wait a minute and listen to what they were going to say about that one. I think they were trying to make the point it's more important for your child to be involved in food preparation than it is for them to be involved in setting the table. So don't make them set the table, have them involved in food prep. Well, I mean, let's face it, you have to have them set the table at some point. They need to learn, where do the forks go? Where does the knife go? Where does the spoon go? Which utensils do I use when? When I sit at a table at a nice restaurant someday, how do I know which glass is mine and which glass is my neighbor's? Where do I put my napkin? They need to learn all that. That's etiquette. And I think that's hugely important, and I think we're losing it these days. We're losing it these days. I think we're losing etiquette these days. I think they're both accurate statements. But I think we need to teach them that. So I wouldn't say don't make them set the table. I would say include them in food prep. How do we choose our ingredients? If we meal plan, if we know what we're going to have for dinner tonight, let's look at what ingredients we have. Go to the store, pick out fresh ingredients, look for opportunities to include more nutrient-dense foods, bring them home, prepare them in a way that doesn't just completely degrade the nutrition, and then put them on the plate. I think that's very important to have kids involved in that. But they can also set the table, and they can learn manners, and they can learn to respect other people while still understanding that they may not want to be in the situation that person's in, or they may want to be in that situation, right? You look at a high-performing athlete, and you say, do you think that athlete lives on donuts? Not to pick on donuts, but I already dissed them, so we'll leave it at that. But I think using examples like that is important. I think defining foods in categories of nutritive and non-nutritive, or beneficial and non-beneficial, good or bad, right, to sum it up, I think that's appropriate and really in this day and age pretty necessary. The clear your plate thing, don't waste food. Take what you need. You can always go back for seconds. Make sure you get enough of the good food and only a side serving of the bad food. So I don't think it's as quick and easy as just throwing out those 4 points and saying that'll help you keep your kids healthy. I understand they have very limited time on the news, but if you can't give accurate information in that amount of time, giving inaccurate information isn't the answer. Waiting till you have more time is the answer. So anyway, I like what Channel 2 does. I think they're a good news station. I think they missed the mark on this one. I couldn't link to the story because they didn't put it on their website that I could find. But if you happen to see it this morning, hopefully that completes the discussion for you and your children. Hope you have a good morning. Happy 4th of July tomorrow if I don't do another video. Thanks for watching, and until next time, eat for your health, train for performance, and live the life you love today. Have a good one.